Happy Monday. It's 9 a.m. and it's Coffee with Andrea. I really appreciate you sitting down with me and having a cup of coffee, of tea, of chai, and learning about art, learning about business, and meeting really exceptional people in the creative industry. So Embrace Creatives is about community and bringing people together. So the one thing I'd love for you to do is share this Coffee with Andrea, share Embrace Creatives with other creatives that you know, because the more we grow the safe business space of Embrace Creatives and connect with each other and learn from each other, the better we're going to be. And one thing that Coffee with Andrea does for you is it helps to change your attitude, because buyers don't just want talent. They need more than that. They need professionalism and they need a relationship-driven attitude. And that is what I'm helping to bring you with Coffee with Andrea and Embrace Creatives, to really uplift the whole business you, not just your talent, because you've got that. That's something that you're working on yourself. So for me and my team here at Embrace Creatives, our goal really is to empower you in the business sense. And today I want to talk a little bit about one word that I use, that I promote you stand in. And that word, well, I'm not going to tell you what the word is, but this one word will set you free. So we artists have really big hearts, right? We give our work away. Unfortunately, we give a lot of our time. We get involved in creative projects, even when there's a questionable return, like we're not quite sure if we're going to get paid for it, if we're actually going to get the publicity. But being a giver is, you know, it's a really beautiful quality. But if you want to make money with your creative business, you really have to alter who you give the most to. So when you feel yourself being pulled in a lot of different directions and you're really, like, you feel here that you're not quite sure and you really not sure what to do, I want to tell you that the path that you're committed to, which is your business mission, is the path that you should commit to, and you should commit to yourself. So there's one word that you need to bring to the tip of your tongue when someone asks you to do something that doesn't really align with your mission, with your path, and with your goals. And that word is no. Say no to an undervalued commission or opportunity. Say no to a client who wants you to do one more thing for free. Say no to applying to an opportunity that you don't do research on. I see so many artists that jump into a fair, a festival, a trade show, being repped by a gallery, and they're so excited, right? They're so excited for this great opportunity, but they don't do the research beforehand. So they're really unsure as to how it's going to work out. And so do the research and say no if it's not for you, if it's not aligned with your values. If you feel something weird here, like, you know that's wrong. So the special word I want you to say is no. And that's it for the day. So today I'm going to introduce you to a really special person. She is bubbly. She is creative in a lot of different ways. Her name is Ashley Williams, and she's the founder of a tech space for creatives. But I'm going to let her tell you about it. It's called Rizar. So I'm going to introduce you to Ashley. Hi, Ashley. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining me with Coffee with Andrea. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. It was such a pleasure. And I totally love that whole mantra of saying no. Like, it's one thing that I'm actually personally trying to work on more in the new year, and not even just in all realms of my life where I really don't want to do something, or I really, really don't want to do something, saying no. No,
Right.
no, 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 no.
Yeah.
No.
And it's hard to do, because as creatives, like I said, we're givers, but also, you know, we think, oh, this opportunity could be good, but you know in your gut, and you know as a business person that if it aligns or if it doesn't.
Yes. I mean, it could be horrible. I mean, and sometimes what ends up happening when we do say yes, it ends up going to our detriment, because I really believe, like you're talking about with intuition, like it's already prompting us of what could go wrong. And then we think, okay, well, I'll just take on this like one more thing, and then boom, like it does not go as planned.
Right. And if you align yourself with opportunities that are not good for you, then those opportunities are going to continue to come. And that's something that we definitely don't want. You want to really kind of be a straight shooter, understand where you're going, because the more you give to all these different things, the less time you're going to have in your studio, less time you're going to have for your business. And then you're going to be doing things for other people, and you're going to resent that opportunity, that person. So
Exactly. So and it also makes you kind of like resent yourself, I feel like, in the process, because you're like, why do I keep doing this to myself? Which
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So tell us about you. So I know that you are an artist, you paint, you're also in the
yeah.
marketing branding sphere, but so tell us a little bit about you and RZA.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Well, I'm originally from Michigan, and I my background by trade, I used to be a journalist and a reporter, so I love like things creatively with like writing and video, and loved it so much that I really wanted to start my own company that focused on content creation geared towards millennials, and also having millennials as content creators. So what we do is we connect millennial content creators who make articles, videos, podcasts, and photos to brands for marketing or social media. The brands will take the content and put it on their own platforms, or they'll put it on Razar or their social media as a way to reach that millennial consumer. Now, sometimes it really can be where that marketing campaign is something that will really work with the brand on, which causes for all of us to, my team and I, to be use a lot of creativity. And what we see could be a way to position the brand and their messaging. So it's really fun. I really love having the marketplace idea of our platform. We're in the process of even tweaking it further this year. But in extracurricular activities, I like I like painting. A lot of people don't know that, but I am a big fan of oil painting and ceramics, as well with just pottery. So that's one thing that I'm going to be doing more of in the new year.
Ooh, that's exciting. I'm very happy. So in terms of Embrace Creatives and Razar, now you joined, you are an Embrace Creative business member. So connect with Ashley on the site. She's going to go back in and work on her profile, right?
Yes, I'm super excited. I mean, I feel like I'm like
to Razar because,
yes.
Especially because there's a lot of parents of, millennials, and maybe they are writers or they're videographers and they would want to join and have a way to earn extra income, because the millennials on your site do earn income. But before we get to that, why did you join Embrace Creatives?
Yeah, I enjoyed Embrace Creatives because I was so excited about the opportunity to be around other creatives like myself in the realm of art and everything dealing with creativity on the other side of content creation, because I feel like that it really is what gets me inspired. I personally love going to museums, art galleries, different creative opportunities. So to be around a lot of people who are all in those different spaces is so inspiring to me. And also it really gets me thinking about what are ways I can creatively tweak things in content wise, because that's what really inspires me. So, and I think there's definitely a connection between us in terms of all the creativity, are putting our wisdom and our all of our being into different projects that we're doing. So I can really relate to creatives in that way too, who are artists. So it was really exciting.
Oh, well, we're happy to have you. So talk about a little bit about the business challenges that you face. Now, of course, you, like me, are a tech startup, but you're also a creative in this space that, all right, so we use technology, but we have never built technology. But, there's a lot of creatives on Embrace Creatives who are building business. And I firmly believe that business building is business building. It doesn't matter if you're legal, if you're tech, if you're creative, if you're healthcare, if you're an entrepreneur and you're owning your own business, there's a lot of similarities. So name a challenge that you've had to overcome and tell us how you did it that maybe our viewers who are creative business owners will resonate with.
Yeah, I think, there are many challenges with starting a company and then I dealt with. But I think particularly though, for me, it was believing in myself and really starting to focus on my superpowers that I have. We all, I feel like, have our own superpowers. And I think when you are going through the process of starting a company, it's like, I've never had a child, but I think of it kind of in the same realm of you're so excited. There's a thing that you're creating and you're like, Chloe, you think it's gonna be so much fun. I mean, all those things. And then, things start getting a little bit more painful, because then you have to deal with all the things you're saying with legal and money management and dealing with working with people and managing people and dealing with clients and helping with the clients. And it's so many things that I feel like no one can really prepare you for until you just do.
Right.
And then the realm of that, it's how do you focus and use your superpowers to focus on what it is that you are really good at, the ways that you can really help your clients, the way you can really help your team, the way you can really help your company. And I feel like in previous years, I was so focused on all of these things and getting all of these things together, which I guess in some respects, I don't know, like now, granted where the company is, and I hope to where we're going this year, if that was a necessity for us to have that foundation. But I do believe though that if I was more focused on my superpowers and doing things that I really enjoy doing with the company, and then delegating as much as I possibly could, or believing in myself in this whole process even more so too, I think I could have avoided a lot of things that I had encountered. And unfortunately, as the universe does, when you don't learn something, you just keep having to repeat the same thing until you do. So I feel like God willing, I did learn those lessons.
Yeah. And it's kind of almost like your internal no, like when you're building this, and you have so many different projects and so many different responsibilities as a business owner. So it's not just you managing your clients and also the millennial content and also the website, but it's promotion. I mean, that is what you do, but it's promoting Rizar as well. And oh my God, it's like little minutia that every single thing is important. But like you said, your superpowers, you cannot do everything well. No. You can't. So pick the specific things and say no to the others. And it can be difficult for creatives who don't have the resources. They don't have the financial resources to pay other people to do the things that they're just not comfortable doing, or they know they don't do well. But you can barter, you can work with other people and figure out a way to do it so that it's not costing you money per se. I mean, you are valuable. So what value do you offer other people, and what value do they offer, and can you work together? I'm the same way. I know what I do well, and I know what I don't do well. Fortunately, I have to do some of the things I don't do well, but I'm very fortunate to have amazing ambassadors on Embrace Creatives who have their superpowers, whether it's SEO, whether it's UX, which is user experience, communication, research, and they're artists, but they are brilliant in other ways. So I'm like, please do this because you are an expert. And so they're supporting Embrace Creatives. And I'm blessed totally 100% to have my ambassadors. And you really need a village. You need a community to help a small business grow. You can't do it on your own.
No, you can't. And I think that's the other thing too, because we try to. And I mean, I think at certain points of the business, it's just like you said, you have to, because that's just, in terms of generating revenue and all these other things. But I think for creatives especially, it's that we really need to focus on our business models and really executing those in a way that can be scalable, so that as we grow, there are people around us within the company who could then carry those things out. And I think sometimes because we get so focused on the business, the excitement of it, blah, 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 we lose that aspect. And I think that is really what's gotten me many times. And now I'm like really focusing on all these specific things I need to do that are like the more granular things of the business, so that it can really scale on its own. And I can then work on other things that I enjoy within the business too.
Right. And trusting the people that work with you and giving them the freedom to do what they feel is best, not micromanaging, because all of a sudden now you're just working. Why did you hire them in the first place if you're going to tell them what to do on every level? So much of it is trust. But again, it's just like when you have just a regular relationship and you trust the person in your life to do what's right. And it may not always be what you think, but a lot of times it brings you value in a way that you didn't see because it's another person's vision of that project of the company.
Yes. And it's so true, because people, again, the other people adding value to different things. And I feel like people will eventually like kind of hate you if you become a real micromanager. You might start disliking yourself too.
Yeah. And I think that's a big difference with corporate and entrepreneurship. So I know a lot of people in corporate, and I hear over and over again that they are so micromanaged from the top down that it strangles them, it strangles their creativity, definitely in specific industries. But they don't feel valued. They don't feel that they're really involved in the company. And that's what I love about especially creative small businesses, but small businesses in general. It's like a small team and everyone's working together, and you value the other people. When I work with my ambassadors and I'm just like, okay, help me, tell me, we're a community. And I'm sure you're the same thing with your team members at Rizar. you value them and you understand what they bring to the table.
Yes, and it's so important too, and I want them to know that. And even the content creators, really. I mean, when we're even working with them on a project, I don't want it to be where I just tell them, or we tell them what to do, but it's more of like it's a collaborative effort.
So let's talk about the millennials.
Yeah.
It's so funny how we categorize every couple of years, we categorize the young people coming up. I don't know what I was called when I was in my 20s, but there is this big, it's always important for companies to reach a new market, a young market, to kind of grab them as they're growing through, growing up. So what do you offer millennials? What do you offer them in this creative tech space?
Well, really, it's an idea for them to position themselves in a way that we allow them to go to where it is that they aspire to be, and helping them to really get there, who it is that they aspire to become. So I think there are a couple of things, but really it's the opportunity to really hone in on their branding and their messaging overall through content creation. Now everything online is about every type of content that a person is making, showcase who it is, and that's really how you leverage your audience, how you build your audience. So we wanted to give them the opportunity to say, you know what, we believe in what it is that you're offering individually, even if you're not like a huge influencer. You are an influencer in your own way, within your own community, within your own tribe per se. So we want to help you with cultivating that on our platform, and so that you can then build your own brand and be able to leverage that to other brands that if you're interested in making money from those partnerships. So really they have a process of being a part of the community, supplying content to the community. After a certain point of seeing the content and how it performs, we then allow them to go into what we say is our marketplace, where we are allowing them to work with our brands and get paid for content that they create. Right now, we usually like split the revenue with the creator, because I also believe in partnership wise, it's like the best thing to do, because really I want everybody to benefit. And I think as a company, I'm really big on helping that young person get their next opportunity. So we help them in that regard. Additionally, we have an event series that we do, which allows millennials locally in different cities that we have the events to be able to come on a panel or become a speaker, and to really talk about what it is that they're doing in their business, in their life, as a way to do more branding professionally for them. Additionally, we also have advisory boards that we're doing for brands, where we help them with creating an external or internal millennial advisory board, where they can get feedback from millennials. And it's a great way for millennials to get the feeling of what it's like to be a part of a company board, especially for them who aspire to really take on those roles in the future. And it's great for your resume. It's great for building relationships with other millennials and networking with CEOs and other leaders of companies. So everything that we do, we really want it to be pushing and impacting millennials to become their best selves. And personally, I am inspired by all the millennials, just seeing all that they're doing in the world and the inspirational things that they're contributing. It gets me a little irritated, very irritated, when I see news organizations or companies, like you said, put them in one box with this whole entitlement thing or narcissistic thing or whatever it is that their thing is at the moment, or that we're killing whatever industry, whatever. Actually, maybe it's not that we're killing it. Maybe that the industry needs to just be improved.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of interesting to me in that regard, but I think that, of course you're going to have those of any generation who are not going to be, who live up to those stereotypes. But for the majority part, I found that we don't. So. Yeah.
And I love hearing all the ways that you help I'm going to call them millennials because that's what we call them, but, find their value. I know my children, my youngest is 19 and my oldest is 27. So I guess that they're in that space. And, watching them find their way through college and then into their first, second, third job, or even just interviewing and going through all of that. This is their first foray into, leaving school, and to have this guidance. Now, these are for creators. It's not for, someone who's going into the medical field, but there's so many of us out there, and to be able to help them move into the space. I remember my son, he's a Scrum Master, an Agile coach. So he works in tech in New York, and my kids are in New York. And he's like, yeah, when he first got out of school and he got his first job at IBM and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, I joined LinkedIn. He goes, I have no idea how to use it. They don't talk to me. There's no tutorials. I'm just on it. And he had to figure this all out for himself. But, with Razar, so you're there and you are kind of guiding them and allowing them to create and find their value. And they may never end up in corporate. They may become entrepreneurs. But the point is, like what you said, you're helping them build very healthy business relationships with a lot of people in general don't know how to do, but especially younger people moving up. So that's wonderful.
Yeah. And all the etiquette that goes with that too. Yeah, thank you. And all the etiquette that goes with that too. And I think,
yes.
I know you and I were also talking about this idea that we'll be doing a lot more tutorials, even within the platform in terms of videos of what makes good content for brands. Millennials, how do you go about creating an article? How do you go about creating a video? Just like basics, just to get people aware of what it is that they can be doing better. So
Right. Because they may have the technical down, but they may not understand how to speak and what brands want. And that's the whole thing, knowing your audience. It's so important to know your client, to know your market. The better you know them, the better you can speak to them. It's like any other relationship. The better you know the person you're talking to, the more comfortable you're going to be, and you're going to end up being on the same page or not. And then if the conversation doesn't work well, then it's just not meant to be.
Yes. It's so true.
So what piece of advice can you give to these creative business owners, both commercial art buyers and artists who are watching this Coffee with Andrea? What can you say to them?
I think that one of my favorite entrepreneurs is Sarah Blakely, or like my favorite entrepreneur, I should say, although I have many of them, but she's like my top one. And one of the things that I always have admired about her is that she's always said to trust your gut. And I feel like many times throughout my journey, I haven't always done that. And as I'm getting older now, I'm realizing that that is like such a huge superpower that we all have. Yay. So we really should be using it a lot more. So I know we kind of talked about it earlier, but for creatives, whatever it is that you're feeling about something, if you're not feeling right, if you're feeling good about it, whatever that feeling is offhand initially, that's the feeling that you should trust the most. And I think sometimes we're so bent on like second guessing ourselves or like thinking that maybe we're wrong. And that I think goes into like the belief part too of ourselves, like believing in ourselves. But please trust your gut. And I think I'm definitely taking my own piece of advice even more so this year. I also think that we really need to get focused on having more conversations around money and like being comfortable with talking about money and making money. I think as creatives, it's kind of like, it's something that we all want, obviously, like in our society, we all want to be able to live our best lives by making good money, et cetera, to be able to live the lives that we want to choose. We don't necessarily have to be like, for some people, hugely rich as like Jeff Bezos, but in the sense that, you're still able to live the type of life that you want. So I think getting more comfortable about the idea of making money and living in abundance is really something that I think creatives should really focus on, instead of having this idea of lack or like feeling lack. I think when you're first starting a company, because of all the things that go into it, especially financially wise, it's easy to kind of get into that place of like, but then as you start getting more clients, you just start getting more self-confidence in what it is that you're doing, really hone in on the fact of abundance, like what are these possibilities that you're creating and that you can make within your life. One of my favorite books that I'm reading right now is called You Are a Badass at Making Money.
Nice.
And I like her series anyway. It's called You Are a Badass. But I mean, this particular book is just like really just like, because I have goals that I've set with the company in terms of things that we want to do this year. And it's really helping me just, identify things within myself or like beliefs that maybe even creatives have had about the idea around money. So I think getting comfortable with talking about money, making money, being intentional about what it is that you're doing to make money. And honestly, for opportunities, if at a certain point now, if they're not making you money, maybe you shouldn't do it. Like at a certain point, get that gung-ho on making money. And as soon enough, when you are making the type of money that you want to make, then you can go back and do things that, you would want to do, even if they're not getting you a payment for doing those things. So I think it's just really focusing on your intention.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think that's huge. And just surrounding yourself with people who really empower you and not the opposite, because I think we do that too much too.
Oh, absolutely. And going back to abundance for a minute. So I wrote a blog article about abundance, and people think abundance and they think one thing, money, but it's not. It's more. So I wrote an article about what really abundance is. And artists do have, creatives, we do. In fact, we have problems with money, and not just adding. I can't add or subtract, but that's math, but so I'm a speaker as well, and I spoke a couple of days ago in Battle Creek, Michigan, and the topic is money. Pricing, it's more than money. And the whole 2-hour talk to these artists, to these nonprofits, was about money and about profiting and about what that means to a business and how you price your work, how you price your services. And, the bottom line is it's not about the price. It's really not about the money part. There's so much more that goes into it. And so much of it is your internal, strength and your value. It just comes down to that, and your intentions and what your intentions are. So, conversations about money, I think that's just going to be ongoing because it's so emotional. Society puts this pressure on us, around the word money, and it can be viewed as like a very powerful thing, and you have to see it a certain way. So, well, thank you so much.
Sorry, I was like, you're right there with the value parts. I think that's really what goes into it, is how we value ourselves.
Yes. So. 100%. Well, thank you, Ashley from Rizar, for joining us for Coffee with Andrea. I really appreciate everybody being here today. Join me again next Monday at 9 a.m. and have a wonderful week. And join Embrace Creatives, share this, join our community. It's very special. We have art, we have business, we have conversations. It's slow moving. It's not 100 likes and you're out. It's who are we learning from, who can we connect with, and who can we support. So have a wonderful day, and I wish you wonderful business success.